All right, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Pixel. We're back, we're better than ever, and I got an amazing guest today, and we got an amazing game, and that is God of War. And the question is Kratos' beard manly enough? Find out now. And we got an amazing game, that is God of War. And the question is Kratos' beard manly enough? One second. Zoop in there. There we go. All right, a little bit of hiccup. I've had one of my streams up and I had the volume on, so it's going to just constantly echo. But today I got two fine gentlemen from the land across the Atlantic, the land of the Queen. Gentlemen, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, we're Loud Noises, Aiden and
Curtis. We are British, clearly.
yeah, we're here.
We're just here
To talk about God of War.
So these fine gentlemen, it's like 2 in the morning over there, but they're troopers. They're amazing people for being here on the podcast because it's only 7 p.m. here in the U.S. So, but I want to get started with God of War. This is like the most anticipated game probably of spring 2018. So when people first saw this trailer, they pretty much flipped out and it's like, oh my God, Kratos is back. His beard is manly. And I think it's living up to his expectations of being a really amazing game. So I want to get your guys' first impression of the game. When you guys first played it, when you guys first saw trailers, what was your thought process?
I think for me, when I first saw the trailer drop at E3 a few years ago, obviously when it first opened, it doesn't look like a God of War game, and then when Kratos steps out, you're like, wow. and kind of from the build-up, I've been really anticipating the game, and it looked amazing. And when I finally had the game in my hands, it didn't fail to deliver, and it is an amazing game. I will say this: it doesn't feel like a God of War game in terms of the way it kind of looks now, because obviously they changed the camera angles and things. But it definitely plays amazingly, and it does play like a God of War game. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I feel like they've evolved an already an amazing game and made it better, but in a different way. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, I don't think I'm even anywhere like an 8th way through yet, and it's amazing.
if that. Yeah. I mean, they definitely improved on the original games, like as good as the originals were. But they basically went from Devil May Cry to The Last of Us with the gameplay.
Yeah,
basically, like that's essentially what they've done, and it works. It's just when you look at it in terms of the originals, and then this new sort of reboot. Even though it follows on, it feels like it shouldn't, in a way.
Yeah, it feels like it should be kind of a complete fresh start,
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've kind of gone.
They've done that with the Norse mythology thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's, like clearly Kratos is kind of continuing on from like when he, spoilers, killed everyone in World War 3. Kind of, yeah. I mean, I think it would have been better if it was more of like an established fresh start.
Yeah, and I think that kind of mirrors kind of what I said as well. The fact that it doesn't feel like a God of War game.
Yeah.
It obviously it is a God of War game, but it feels too different from the other ones for it to be a follow-on. So yeah, I think it would have made more sense if they kind of took it and said, look, we're resetting the world, we're resetting the characters. Obviously to keep Kratos, because he's a badass character, he's an amazing character, and he's got such a huge kind of influence
rage
in the world and rage. But yeah, I kind of agree with that. I kind of think that they should have just done a whole reboot, reset with it.
Also, this is the first time they've ever actually developed him as well. Because in God of War 1, 2, and 3, he was literally the same person. Well, he was just an angry, vengeful god, and now he's like calm and trying to be calm and collected, and trying to forget about his past and stuff. He's kind of moved on from all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the maturity aspect of Kratos. I had to like turn my dishwasher off. I didn't think it would still be going. And I love the change in voice actors. It is a different voice actor, but this voice actor makes you. It sounds like someone's dad, some old old warrior aged, not just old Kratos who's just angry all the time yelling.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's like really wise now and knows a lot of what he's been through.
yeah. It does feel a lot more like a like because in 1, 2, and 3 and kind of and the obviously off the other ones, he was kind of pitched as just this warrior that was just going through, and his end goal was to just kill, whoever
He was reckless, basically.
yeah, like,
had
Right.
no plan.
obviously he just kind of wanted to go through and just get revenge for for whoever killed his family. And now in this one, obviously he's had a fresh start. He's kind of got a new child and stuff, and obviously, sadly, his other half passed away, and he's kind of stuck with this fresh start. But because he hasn't really been there for Atreus, his child, he's like he's been spent so long trying to compress that aggression because he's trying to walk away from it, and now he has to deal with becoming a dad, but then he's got all this other crap coming at him and forcing him to unleash his rage again. So it's a really pivot for his character, and the voice actor definitely helps bring that out in terms of his character as well. And again, like you said, it's like a dad voice, so it's literally like you are basically playing as a father trying to protect his son, but also playing with the remnants of this Spartan warrior that's basically killed gods. So it's a very interesting mix that they've got going, and I really like it. I really think it works.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to our next question because we can just keep going on and on about. So
just jump in and tell us to move on. It's fine. We don't.
no, that's fine. So we talk about what so far do you feel like is the weakest point of God of War right now in this new iteration?
All right. Do you want to pick one first?
I don't know. I feel like it's everything we just said, really. That it even though it works as like an RPG, it shouldn't really be one.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that's a weak point. I'd say I mean, obviously, I know we've just been saying that that it should be a separate thing from the other God of War games. It should be like a reboot, not a follow-on. But the whole RPG thing, I think that because of the world base that you're in, obviously the Norse mythology, like so many games that have done that and set an RPG, and they just fit together really well. So I wouldn't say that's a bad thing or the worst. For me, the only thing that kind of stands out for me is I don't really know actually. I'm trying to think if there's actually anything that's the like deemed the worst or the bad thing about it, but honestly I don't think there is. Other than they've made it so different from the originals, I'd say that's the only thing about it that I would say is a bad thing. But also to counter that, it's not a bad thing because they've made it into a game that is more kind of current and more contemporary in terms of the way the camera angles work and stuff. Just like it's like the Resident Evil games.
Yeah.
The original franchise fixed camera angles and stuff, which is what God of War did. I know they're very different games, but in terms of gameplay style, and then everything's moving now to kind of third-person camera or obviously a lot of first-person camera.
Right.
So I think in terms of that, it's if you want to be kind of a bit anal about it and really kind of get into the nitty-gritty, I would say that's the only issue I have, is that they've made it different in terms of gameplay style, but also it's a good thing because they're moving forward, with how games are now these days. I mean, obviously there's an 8-year gap between number 3 and this one, so they've had a lot of time to take bits from other games around them and create a new, put it into the contemporary kind of style. So I don't have anything bad to say about the game.
Well, I feel like it had to change, because if they did the same thing again, like they did with Chains of Olympus, and
Yeah.
stuff. The same gameplay, the same platforming, whatever. I mean, that as fun as it is, it's just recycled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
very boring
it's,
at this
there's
point.
no innovation or anything, you know.
it's exactly like what DMC did. Like, you know, the 4 Devil May Cry games, they were very samey, repetitive, fixed camera angles again. And then
Mhm.
DMC came out. Like, DMC and the new God of War are basically the same game. Like, they've took an already an amazing established franchise and added a contemporary spin on it and made another great game, but
Mm.
still in the same franchise, but obviously a more contemporary feel to it. And I feel like it's a formula that works really well in its favor.
Well, it's like you said with Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7's first-person camera is, and like, it works so well. And I feel like if they did another Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, like action, run around, kill everything game, it would suck.
Yeah,
You
which,
know?
which is basically what God. I mean, like another thing as well is the fact that the RPG element to God of War has really. I know we're trying to find. I know another question was kind of the worst and bad things about it, but again, I can't think of anything bad. I just kind of, it's, in terms of changing it, the RPG kind of element to it
Yeah.
adds a lot more to the game rather than just go through this door, kill these enemies,
It doesn't take away at
break
all.
this chest. Yeah, it adds more to it.
Mm.
I definitely think this game was not created for God of War fans. I think it was created for bringing a new generation, because it's 100%, well, okay, 98% different than the previous God of War games. God of War games were the pioneers of hack and slash, and this is more action RPG. I feel like this game is a lot more journey than the destination. I feel like you enjoy the journey more in this God of War than before. You kind of just wanted to hit things and then fight the boss. So it was more of a, all right, we finally got to the final boss after I've hack and slashed a million enemies. But this one's more, it has a lot more better story elements. So I guess a weak point of the God of War series before was just, I guess, overall story elements. I guess there wasn't really anything that enhanced the story besides the mandatory cutscenes, but there was some small stuff. I know, like in God of War 1, there was like the architect notes of Pandora's box, or God of War 3, there's the notes. In God of War 1, it was the temple that was on Kronos' back. There was notes there that told a story, but it didn't enhance Kratos' story. I feel like more of his backstory, and they kind of just made more of his backstory through just adding more games than actual stuff in the game.
Yeah. The like I said, Chains of Olympus was his backstory.
And
Right.
Yeah.
Ghost of
Whereas
Sparta as well,
1,
yeah.
2, and 3 was like Greece's story, kind of. It was about the gods and what
Yeah, it was
they
more of a
did.
war of the gods than
Yeah.
here's Kratos.
Yeah, because obviously you have the all opening of God of War 1 when you kind of, you know, his family gets killed and stuff, and it sets up like a great character and his quest. But then, I get where you're coming from. Like, you kind of follow that quest along, but nothing really ever gets developed in terms of, even like through cutscenes and stuff. It's just cutscenes of him going to the next part, finding where the next god is, and then, you know, in this one, I think just adding Atreus in with you as well, like having that other character there just really helps to build the relationship between the characters and just the world around you as well.
Yeah, it didn't help that in the original 3 he was by himself for the entire games, pretty much.
Yeah.
That he had no one to talk to but himself.
And every person he came across, he just wanted to kill. So.
Yeah. So, I mean,
there was no character development essentially with Kratos
pretty
and
much.
the series. And I feel
But
like
in this he's got Atreus, and he can kind of converse with him and talk about what's happened to them, like as a whole.
right.
They are, even though they're so different, that they kind of, the game makes them as if they're like one entity, like against the world, more or less.
Right, and there was definitely, you know, Atreus will have the most character development, and Kratos had character development outside the game, and it shows it. I wish they could have incorporated I mean, I feel like just like in the previous God of War series, Kratos didn't really develop at all. It just showed how mature he became between God of War 3 and this God of War. I wish they kind of named it something different, add something, so we can not just say God of War. But
Yeah.
he definitely has developed as a character. I just wish they showed that in the previous games, because it was like one iteration, God of War 3, where he had a little bit of compassion, and then he just lost all control and killed Zeus and destroyed everything and did not care. I mean, he did give hope to humanity, and I kind of wish they, or at least will, because I think this will become a new series, show how the heck he got to the land of Odin and met this giant.
Yeah, we were talking about that, weren't we? How you were saying that it doesn't really make sense that two different mythologies can exist in the same universe. How
Right.
There's the Greek mythology and then there's the Norse mythology. So, like in God of War 3, like when you kill Poseidon, all of the oceans flood. Surely that's like the whole world and not just Greece, And like when he kills the god of the sun blacks out. But yeah.
Right, and in Norse, they're apparently aware of the other gods, because there's a scene that shows certain aspects. I don't know if you guys are even are there yet, but there was like a scene that shows different symbols. So it's like shows that they're in this world. They're aware of other gods, even though they don't like explicitly say it. But then it's like, okay, if they're aware of, they talk about the 9 realms. So I guess was Greece in its own little realm, and Kratos just effed up that entire realm and went through a magical portal and went to a new realm.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me that's kind of the only way they could really explain it, because obviously, if you look at all kind of like history, whether it's fact or fiction, sorry, fiction or non-fiction, whatever, there's never kind of been a world where, say, like Norse and Greek mythology and stuff exist in the same place. It's either one or the other that rules over the entire world, and there's like there's only one set of gods. So for them to just kind of be like, oh yeah, he's gone from Greece, he's killed all gods, it's fine. Oh, now he's in Odin's land. If they need to have a good explanation of how and why he's got from Greece to here. I mean, the portal would make sense,
right?
I think that'd make, unless there's some kind of parallel universe thing going on. But
well, maybe because obviously there is like a time gap between God of War 3 and God of War.
There's about 20 years,
right?
I think, isn't
so what if like all these new gods kind of just stepped in and like basically healed the damage that Kratos did and took the place of all the Greek gods? But that wouldn't make much sense because they're in a different part of the world. And
and also like the gods ancient as well. Like Odin can't have just been around for 20 years and had Thor.
What I mean is maybe the Greek gods were kind of like they're all the first in command, and the Norse gods were kind of like the lower tier, and now all the Greek gods are being taken care of. The Norse gods have moved up.
Yeah, I kind of see that, but again, it also that doesn't really.
It's just a theory, but that's one possible sort of explanation.
I just think there's too many gaps to definitively say. I guess that would create a whole debate in itself on which gods are superior. I mean, I know in the first boss he makes like a smart aleck remark saying, I thought you guys were supposed to be more enlightened than the rest of us. But I mean, until they explain it in the game, it's too confusing. It makes my brain hurt trying to think, how the hell did he make it? Why does he look so old? If he's supposed to be, I mean, I understand he's a demigod, and I think at some point he was supposed to have full god power, but then he like rejected it in like, I think, the Ghost of Sparta PSP game. But I don't know, it's too confusing to actually fully understand what Kratos is.
I mean, this kind of backs up what I said, that the new game doesn't feel like it should follow on
Right.
because it's
I,
kind of too far out.
yeah, I think they could have literally just created a new series and
Mm.
literally just it would have been just as good.
Mm.
Instead of trying to retell a story. I mean, it would have been fine, I guess, if they kept it in Greek mythology, or I guess from the beginning, like there's 9 realms in the realm of the Olympians, in the realm of Norse mythology, and a realm of Egyptian mythology. I could have been bought that and bought him being in like Norse mythology now, but it's just too many gaps to fully for my head to be completely wrapped around. But I want to move on to the next point, and this could be a controversial question, or it could be a very straightforward question. And is this the best game in the series? And what are you guys' thoughts?
I think God of War 3 was definitely my favorite, the best in the series. Just for the fact the power of the PS3 as well, and it helped push to make that a better game, bigger world and kind of bigger bosses and things, and just the epicness of God of War that everyone loves. I think number 3 really brought that out. And it's the storyline. I mean, I know we kind of talked that there wasn't much storyline, but in terms of what they were there in, I think number 3 for me was the best one. I can't really, until I've finished the new God of War, until I've finished it, I can't really make a full judgment. So far, in terms of gameplay, you see, if they would have brought God of War 3 out now, and with the same gameplay style that it had, I'd say the new God of War is better, because hack and slash games, kind of fixed camera angle stuff is a bit old now.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I mean, as much as I'd love to go back and play the old God of War games just because I know them and they're amazing, but if a new IP came out this year with the same gameplay mechanics as God of War 3, I'd take the new God of War, let's call it God of War 4. I'd take that over God of War 3. But in terms of kind of story and things, I can't really compare yet, because obviously I've not fully got through it. Although the RPG element is looking to be a lot making the game a lot better than the original ones. Just because it gives more to the game instantly. Like, you don't even have to follow the main quest. You don't have to just think, oh, I've got to go into this bad guy or whatever. You can kind of, in a way, go off and do a few side quests and fork off in kind of any different direction you want. You don't have to just follow a straight line. So in terms of that, I think the new one is better, just in terms of the adding more to the game, whereas for story and kind of epicness at the moment, God of War 3 wins. But as I said, until I've fully embraced this new game and finished it, I'm kind of leaning more towards God of War 3.
I definitely think the problem is that this God of War is so different, and is in a kind of in where we're at with video games right now. It's in a different, I will say, era, and I put that in quotes, because when the original God of War series out, it was all hack and slash. We had so many hack and slash knockoffs. Well, I don't say knockoffs, but clones of God of War and Devil May Cry, and the best were Devil May Cry and God of War. God of War 3, I guess for that trilogy, if we just looked at that as just being its own complete trilogy, 3 was clearly the best, most fleshed out of compared to the previous 2, just because of the PS3's capabilities. And this God of War, if I was to go toe to toe with God of War PS4, God of War 3, I don't know. It's because they're two different styles. I mean, God of War had like an RPG element that was mandatory. You pretty much had to level your health up, your magic up, upgrade your weapons if you actually wanted to enjoy playing the game. Um, I'm sure there was some challenge where it's like no level up challenge and only use one thing, but the game actually forces you pretty much to use certain weapons. So it definitely has very minimalistic RPG elements. It's more just you have to upgrade, and this one it has a lot more fleshed out RPG elements, a lot more like different stuff that is included, which is great because that's kind of the era we are in now where action RPGs like this style of gaming is preferred for single player. So I still would say though that God, I don't want to discount God of War 3 because it was highly enjoyable to play, and just coming to an end of a story, it felt very satisfying. Until they show Kratos disappeared, and then like, oh crap, they're gonna come up with God of War 4, and here, of course, we have a new God of War. So I honestly can't even answer my own question on saying which one's the best because they're two separate. I kind of consider them as just two separate series. God of War, the original ones on PS2 and PS3, completed their story, so they're their own little story, and then now we have the new God of War. It's kind of like Harry Potter and then the Fantastic Beasts or whatever,
Yeah.
They're created by the same person, but they tell two separate stories, even though they're in the same world. And with here, I definitely put world in quotes because, there's 9 realms apparently. So,
Yeah.
But I definitely think we're going to get a sequel.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another trilogy at least.
Yeah.
Because there's just...
would make more sense.
Especially considering, I think if they just focus on just kind of one part or one realm or one part of kind of the Odin world, like the Norse world in this game, that they've kind of got a lot more. I still feel like they'll have a lot more to explore and a lot more to put into the game for say a sequel or another one after that. I mean, because I know it's being said that it's a huge game and there's a lot to it, but I think a lot of that is fleshed out through the RPG elements, kind of the going off in different directions things. So I think in terms of actual storyline, there's probably a lot more left over that they could put into another game.
If they do sequels, Atreus being a character helps a lot with him being a kid because they can have time gaps in aging.
Yeah,
and have him be like a teenager in the second one, and then like the third one, Kratos is really old. Atreus is like, growing up and sort of stepping up and becoming like Kratos and taking on like bigger threats and things, and maybe even play as Atreus in the third one or something like that.
Yeah, it definitely gives a lot more opportunities because obviously at the end of number 3, they had to bring Kratos. I mean, obviously when he got stabbed by Zeus, you kind of thought, oh, that's the end. Then
right.
when you saw he disappeared, you're like, oh, they kind of have to have Kratos to live to make a new God of War game, because bringing in a random kind of person wouldn't really make sense. But now it does because obviously he has a successor, and he's part God as well, Atreus. I'm assuming because he's obviously dad's part God,
right?
Technically, so I think that like Curtis just said, that it gives them more opportunity for different places for this series to go rather than just Kratos rolling on through each game, kind of encountering the same thing, and I think it allows itself to not repeat what the first 3 did, and doesn't just become too samey, because you can have Atreus' storyline maybe in the second game. It opens itself to a lot more opportunities, I think, for stories.
I mean, like you just said, like having Kratos just go through game after game.
Yeah.
Like watching gameplay, you can tell that he's just seen so much crap now that nothing phases him anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And that his character is developing through Atreus now. Like Kratos himself is kind of just at a dead end point,
Yeah, it's like those
Mhm.
little moments when you see Kratos go to touch Atreus and comfort him, and he just kind of pulls away because he's like he doesn't know what to do, and it's kind of like
Yeah,
it's emotional and it it adds so much to
But-
character development.
none of that would be there if Atreus wasn't in the game.
Yeah, and it would just be God of War 1
It
again
would just be Kratos running through slower and everything.
with RPG elements. So
Exactly.
Just with
definitely
snow.
adding
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of adding Atreus in there definitely helps to flesh it out.
Mm.
Um,
So yeah, if like Atreus like alone gives it a lot of potential for sequels, definitely.
I
yeah,
also think the state of the PlayStation also allows us to get a better story this time around instead of before, because we had the PS2, then we also had the PSP, so there was like other games that had a story that was part of the main story because they reference those games. So like if you just played God of War 1, 2, and 3, and the characters, like there's a section where you're in hell essentially, or Hades, whatever, same place, and there's Persephone there, and he's like, yeah, you killed Persephone, and you're like, who the heck is Persephone and when did I kill her? And then you find out, oh, there's a PSP game. I was like, ah, crap, now I gotta go play that to see what happens. And I think with this story definitely was a lot better fleshed out. It's definitely more focused on developing Atreus than Kratos going to go kill someone, because they just want to go take their his wife's and his mom's ashes to just some place and call it a day. That's all they want to do. You actually see Kratos like not really wanting to fight. Like in the very beginning, he's like, dude, I don't want to fight, just go. And then the dude was a jerk, and they ended up fighting like that. Before, Kratos was just like, all right, let's go. I'm just going to go ahead and stab you and throw you through this wall, but now he's like, dude, I'm too old for this crap. I just want to take these ashes here and get some cream for my arthritis. So it's definitely a lot more mature story, definitely better written. I don't want to say that the previous ones were terribly written. It was just a lot more straightforward. You start here, you gotta kill this guy, you just do XYZ to get to him, and then boom, that's it. Here it's more of you're not as you gotta go to the certain place to get the ashes, but you don't know exactly how to get there. Before, they pretty much tell you, go here, and then go here, and then boom, you're done. Here it's, well, we know we got to get there, but we don't know exactly who we need to talk to get there, what's going to be coming up. So that's why Kratos made a point in the beginning, like, I gotta get you ready, boy, because he doesn't exactly know what's going to happen. So he needs Atreus to be ready for whatever comes their way.
yeah.
So, but
Like, I was just kind of thinking when you were just saying, that he just kind of wants to chill out. It's like it's almost as if this land that Kratos has fled to, it's kind of like his retreat, like his getaway from everything else.
right.
He's kind of wanted to his retirement place almost. Because he clearly had no intentions of going after anyone else and causing any more harm. He just wanted to try and live his life. Obviously, all that changed when his wife passed, and then he's just trying to be a father, and then
Right.
all of a sudden people are trying to kill him again. So, but obviously Atreus at this point, Atreus doesn't know who he is and what his past was. Atreus doesn't even know that that Kratos is a god or anything. So that in itself, it makes it incredibly interesting as a storyline. 'Cause it's like, you as a player know everything about his past life, but there's still that 20-year gap where you're like, what's gone off? What's happened? Who is his wife that he's had Atreus to? Like, is it who he was with in well, it wasn't technically with anyone, was it? I mean, he slept with was it Athena, I think? One of the goddesses. I'm right in saying that, aren't I?
I'm pretty sure he banged everyone.
Yeah,
He either banged them or killed them.
Yeah, he pretty much killed them or banged them. I'm pretty sure he only banged. What's that person's name? Aphrodite.
Oh,
Like, all right, you live, but everyone else,
Yeah. So yeah, it's like like we don't even know who Atreus's mother is. Was she human? Was she God or whatever? Or so I think it it definitely already starting the game like this like again like this is why it should be its own series and not a follow-on, because there's so many questions that you just have no idea what's going off as soon as it starts. And I feel like that we are Atreus, even though we're playing as Kratos, we are Atreus because we're learning things as he is. Because there's so much he doesn't know, and there's so much that we don't know in terms of this new world and what's happened in between God of War 3 and this one. It just adds just adding one character in, it just added so many more elements to the game and a lot more storyline.
Well, imagine if you did play as Atreus through the whole game, and the game had a different title. You had no idea that it was anything to do with God of War, and then right in the game it's revealed that you're Kratos' son, blah 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 blah. It would have the same effect.
Yeah, definitely.
As you play the game now, on you, like you'd be like, oh, learning all these new things. So yeah, I get what you mean from that.
One thing, next question, I guess next topic is, I definitely think this game has, looking at the small things, like character-wise, the characters you meet and all this stuff, is a lot more interesting than God of War. Anytime you met a new character in God of War, they're either a human or a god or some monster you have to kill. Here, I understand there's like, in Greek mythology, you have monsters you had to fight and all that stuff, but there was other things as well that they could have better introduced. I mean, they had introduced a Pegasus, but you just flow that to get it killed at some point. Everything else pretty much tried to kill you. There was no one there that really helped you in any way, unless you forced them to help you, then killed them. Which is pretty much how it always turned out. Like, as soon as you see Kratos, you might as well just run like hell. Because if you try to help him, he's going to kill you. If you don't help him, he's going to kill you. So your best option is just to run. But here, you actually meet characters that you don't kill, which I find a greatly refreshing. That I can actually, right? It's like, I should kill him, but I'm too old for this crap. So
it's like when you come across the witch, under the turtle, like like instantly I was expecting her to turn around and be like, "Lol, I'm a bad guy," and then you have to kill her. But then all of a sudden it's like, she's just helping you out, and she gives you, the way you get the compass thing from her, and gives you passage. And I was just like, whoa, this really does feel like an RPG kind of game. And even though I was playing a God of War game, and I know I played a God of War game, it felt like an entirely kind of different playing experience, in a good way though, just because of all these little elements that they're putting in. And yeah, it just works so well, and it's refreshing, rather than just going around killing everyone.
Yeah, I never realized that at that point in the game, Kratos is really like wary to trust her.
Yeah.
But that's because, like, he's the reason why people don't like. He doesn't trust people because he just kills them. He doesn't give them a chance.
Yeah.
Right, he doesn't give them the chance. One thing I think also that's really I just feel like this game in particular is just a lot more atmospheric. I actually feel like I'm out in a different world where, before it's just, all right, this is just a level of a game and I just have to get to XYZ. But you actually feel there's a lot more atmosphere in this game. I think that's also due just to better technology, the capabilities of the PS4 and PS4 Pro. But I think level design wise, it's a lot more. I don't know, it's linear in a sense because you still have to go to your destination, but it's a lot more open. I think there's a lot more back and forth elements than in the other game. You pretty much could pretty much draw a line and put it on a piece of paper and that's pretty much just put A if it B, and that's it. That's the level design of the previous God of War games, but here it's a lot more open, a lot more different elements in the game that aren't just here fight these group of enemies to unlock this puzzle or to go here. It's a lot more here's kind of a cool element just because we have it, just to add character depth. And
yeah, definitely.
you know, so
I mean,
but,
like kind of the like graphics aside, it feels like you're playing a movie.
right,
Like, because the I mean, obviously, I know they kind of made it seamless where you going in and out of cutscenes into gameplay, like, which is absolutely amazing, by the way. Like, it just makes it that 10 times better when you're playing the game. But when because of the character development and the relationship and just the dialogue and the music and, like I said, the atmosphere, it's very scenic and it's very cinematic, and it literally feels like, even though obviously you are moving the characters and you're in control, it feels like you're playing a movie or like watching a movie, and it's a really amazing weird feeling. And you can so easily get caught up in the emotions as well. Like in the other games, like someone would die, but you'd be like slashing someone up like 2 seconds after. So it's like you don't have time for that. It doesn't give you that space for the emotion and for the journey to kind of flow, whereas this game, gives you all the time in the world pretty much to just experience it.
Yeah.
And I think, given that, as you've just been saying, with the open element to it, that really helps to give you more of an experience and to experience every part of it, because there's no rush to play this game, whereas the other ones, you felt like you had to just run through it and just kill as many things as you can to get to the next objective, whereas this just doesn't feel like that. I mean, even in the fight scenes and the battle scenes, you can just roll around, like you can play tactical. So
right,
yeah, there's this kind of a free-flowing non-rushness to it.
Yeah, well, I get what you mean, because like, no spoilers, but there's I've watched ahead of
Yeah.
what you played.
Yeah.
There's bits where like Atreus will do something wrong, and then like, they're both silent with each other, and like a fight will come up, and Atreus won't help you in the fight. He'll like run away and hide.
Oh wow.
And then like afterwards, it's like they're both really quiet with each other, because you know that something just happened, and the game hasn't forgot that with the fight scenes afterwards, like the original God of War did. Someone would, like you said, someone would die, and then Kratos would just immediately stop caring and just go and kill more people.
Yeah.
Like that
Right.
doesn't happen in this. It's continuous all the way through.
Yeah.
all right. So last question, final thoughts to the game. We definitely know there's definitely going to be a sequel, but
Yeah.
what do you think they could do to actually, I guess without spoiling, what do you expect out of this series? Like, do we expect to be facing the gods of Norse, or is there going to be an actual war where Kratos actually helps the Norse gods? What do you guys think the direction is with this God of War?
I can't see them repeating God of War 3 and just having Kratos kill everyone, because he's not really that character anymore. It wouldn't make sense for them to just make him that again.
Yeah.
But I don't think it wouldn't fit this new style of him to just be like, oh, all the Norse gods are evil, I'm gonna kill them all again.
Yeah.
It's just repetitive and lazy. I think if whatever direction it goes in, I reckon they're gonna. He might kill a few. He might kill a few of the gods because he has to, but he won't do it just out of pure vengeance because he's bored, basically.
See, I think there's going to be another 2 games at least. Well, one definitely, but maybe a third one. And I think that, because clearly Kratos is getting weaker, as we've seen when he first comes up against the first guy you fight. Whether that's just because he's a bit rusty or whatever, but he struggles, and I think it's going to get to a point where it's going to be too much, and then Kratos will either get killed off, or something bad will happen to him where he'll no longer be able to kind of fulfill his role or whatever, or be, you know, that powerful. So then Atreus will come into power or develop his godlike powers, etc., and then you'll carry on as Atreus for maybe through the entirety of the second game, or maybe half of the second game, and then a third game where you just play as Atreus, maybe grown up, because you know they can do a lot with the whole time jumping thing, because Atreus is such a young character, and if he is half god or full god or whatever, he won't age as fast or as much as you know, obviously humans would. So I think that's kind of the direction they might go in, is Kratos maybe getting killed off, or
maybe becoming like fully mortal.
Yeah, or something happens where he gets completely stripped of his god powers, and he becomes human. Yeah. And he has no way of regaining them because he's in a different realm, he's in a different place, and then Atreus maybe just takes over, and I don't know. There's a lot. I think there's a lot they could do with it, but I think that's kind of where I'd like to see it go. I mean, I don't want Kratos to be killed off, but you know, he's been around for a few games now.
I feel like he kind of has to for the game to go anywhere.
I don't think he has to be killed off.
Well, no, but he needs to.
I think he kind of has to be retired somehow.
And maybe he gets trapped somewhere or something.
Yeah, maybe.
It definitely. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, or the fact that he loses his powers and then just kind of grows old and just kind of withers away.
Well, maybe when
over time, but
if he becomes more, maybe that's the only reason why he's managed to live so long. So maybe as soon as he loses his powers, he might just fade away.
Yeah.
Well, he does have the soul of Hades, so I wonder if that's how he still has godlike powers. I don't know how he still has godlike powers, especially after he stabbed himself with the blade of Olympus to let Hope out into that realm. Don't know how Hope's going to help him now, but that's kind of one thing as my final thought is I hope they kind of explain how he still is a god, because I mean, he wasn't a god at the end of God of War 2. I mean, I guess maybe he still had some godhood in him, and by doing a bunch of stuff, he was able to gain godlike powers somehow. But that's kind of one thing that's kind of, well, how is he still a god? And is it 20 years between God of War 3 and this current iteration of God of War?
I think I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they either say it in the game or I've read it somewhere. I think it's a decent amount of time. I'm pretty sure it's like around 20 years.
Well, it must be more than like 12 years because that's how old Atreus is.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd say 20 years kind of makes a bit of sense.
So, yeah, okay. I think if he's part god, why is he so old then? If it's only been 20 years, because I think he's in his 30s. I would say late, like 30s in the God of War series.
Yeah.
But especially if he's part god, I don't know.
Well, maybe because he's kind of laid dormant almost for a while. He's not really used his powers as much.
And a lot of his power comes from his like rage and fighting.
I guess because obviously, because when you have that first fight and you kind of activate your Spartan rage and then you whoop his ass, then he heals himself up, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I wonder if it kind of, because he's always been fueled by rage, maybe that's where his power kind of comes from, and because he's been kind of so at peace technically for the past however long he's been, in this new realm, maybe that's why his powers kind of lay dormant and kind of got a bit weaker, but now he's tapping back into that rage to help him boost his power. Maybe that kind of seems a bit logical, I guess.
Yeah, because we're never really, I guess, told what Kratos' power really is, because he kind of just gets powers from completing quests like an MMO.
Yeah.
By leveling up, I now have Poseidon's Rage. So we never really know what his innate powers is, I guess, until this iteration God of War, where he shows the Spartan Rage, which could be is what fuels his power. And because he hasn't been so angry, he's been taking a chill pill, so he's aged. I mean, it's shown that the gods have aged. If you watch from the cutscenes of God of War 2 with Zeus, you know, it shows him, you know, I guess they don't stay young forever. Just takes a really, really long time to age. But, you know, Kratos is part mortal, so he does, you know, would age, I guess, faster than a normal god, but slower than everyone else.
Yeah.
So, but I would like them to not repeat the God of War formula. Give us something new, which I think is what we're going to get because we have Atreus. So it's going to be a little bit more. It's pretty much is focused around Atreus, and Kratos is just pushing him along, teaching him things, you know, helping him become more mature and help him figure out who he actually is in this journey. Even though the simple way of looking at it is they're just taking this ashes to this one place and calling it a day, but the real in-depth story is the development of Atreus and how that relationship is interacting with him and Kratos. And you know, it's definitely, don't think they're going to make the mistake of repeating the God of War washing machine, you know, where it just goes on and on and on, just kill everyone just because why not. I hope there is like a random, like a third party threat where, you know, there's like a united front or something along those lines where, you know, they actually help the Norse gods fight off this threat instead of, all right, let's just kill everyone except for the witch. You know, she gets to live, but everyone else, you know, Odin, we're coming for you.
I mean, I guess it'd be pretty cool if kind of any Greek gods who were left, or kind of somehow come back to life, found out where Kratos was, came to, you know, Asgard or whatever you want to call it, Odin's land, and tried to kill Kratos, but then you kind of get buddy with Odin, and then they help, fight off the Greek gods. That'd be pretty
right. Yeah, that would be cool. You know, I think Kratos thoroughly made sure everyone died.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's he's been killing gods since God of War 1, so I don't think there's, except for Aphrodite, unless she came like with an army of, I don't even know, naked women just to kill Kratos.
I mean, like, in my opinion, to me, like how I see it is, you as Kratos are basically building Atreus to be the next playable character, more or less. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, because you are literally his mentor.
Yeah.
So we all know with mentors in video games, they do eventually die. So
yeah.
They need to make him go out in like a glorious death. They need to make him like die at the end of the game instead of dying like in the beginning or midway or something like that. Make that like an end point of a game story, and then the next game could be like Atreus getting revenge or whatever, like years later.
If they keep the same RPG elements in the next game, it wouldn't make sense for you to switch to Atreus halfway through the game, because everything you would have earned as Kratos,
the progress,
would just be lost, and then it'd be a fresh start again.
But they do that like every God of War game. He just loses everything.
Yeah, but I mean that's like a new title though when that happens. I mean, like literally halfway through the second game, it's like
So if you play as Kratos for half a game, and then you get all the XP on the upgrades, and then you die, and then take over as Atreus where you have nothing. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, so that you're basically like progressing halfway through the game and then losing it all. So yeah, it would.
Yeah, that'd be a real dick move.
Yeah,
that would.
So I can, in terms of that, they probably would make more sense to kill him off at the end.
Just have a trace for the third game instead.
Yeah, it'd make for a good ending as well, or a side to a good ending.
Yeah.
Right. So, but that is all the time we have, gentlemen. Thank you guys for coming on here and chatting with me about God of War. It's been an amazing pleasure. Make sure you guys subscribe to Loud Noises. I will have a link to their channel in the description down below. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. And I will see. No problem. No problem. And I will see everyone else in the next Beyond Pixel. Peace.
See you later.
Bye.